Hey, hello everybody, and welcome to the Scodix live webinar. Today we'll cover Scodix Studio Station. My name is Amit Schwartz. I'm the Chief Marketing here at Scodix. And with me is Owen Schweitzer, who heads our software services team here in Scodix. The highlight of our webinar today is going to be Scodix Studio Station. And in order to understand Scodix Studio Station, what was the reasoning behind doing that product? What do we see in the market that this is coming to answer? Maybe we should look at a few trends that we see that are happening in the market, in the printing industry. And I think that when we try to cover those trends, then I can identify about 4 trends that are really important for our webinar today. The first one is that we see digital enhancement is growing. From something that Scodix pioneered about 10 years ago, today we see more and more solutions of digital print enhancement. And if we look just on few samples of things that are being done today with digital print enhancement, we see what credit we as Scodix, and I think that the market as a whole, needs to give to the Scodix customers. Let's highlight a few of the things that you can see on digital print enhancement. So I'm starting from a work being done by Direct Print, a Scodix customer in Morocco. Now, he has produced those 6 books and just a few examples of things that could be done with digital print enhancement today. Just think of regular CMYK versus something like this. Let's look at another book from them. Again, combination of foil, of scents. If you wanted fish to look different, that's it. So we talk about the growing of digital print enhancement. Let's look at another one. This is Jujin, China. And this is a kit that he has made to promote his activities within digital print enhancement. And look at that. Can you compare it to a regular print? Look at this one. And it's not a joke that you see somebody like a customer, again, we're going to Holland now, Wehabu, who is saying we are nuts about foil. And this is, again, a kit that they have done in order to promote their work. So we see our customers, we see the market, we see the adoption, we see more and more digital enhancement out there, and the need from the customer is growing. So that's trend number 1. What's the second trend that we want to cover? The second trend is that when we look at the market, we see that if we talk to a regular printer that I would meet, 5 or 10 years ago, I would talk to him about the 2, 3 big jobs that he have done in a week, each one of them 4,000 or 5,000 copies. That's not the world today anymore. Our printers are printing a lot, and they are printing a lot shorter runs, which means they need to work on many more files during the shift, during the week, and they need a solution for that. So just as examples, if we look here on a work being done by GSB, one of our customers in New York. This is for real estate. If in the past that would be printed as a brochure that would be printed in thousands of copies, today this is printed weekly in order to answer the need of the people or the segment that you want to promote during that week. Let's look at another example. And we are moving now to the sports world, which I love. So we're looking at the work from Consolidated Printed in the US. This is from National Hockey League tickets. Again, enhanced short runs. Each one of the places in the stadium in this All-Star would get a different ticket with different enhancement. Again, something that we wouldn't think about a few years back. If we talked about shorter run length, and we talked about mass customization as a trend, then definitely when we get to the extreme of that, we'll go to the next step, which is personalization. And our customers are doing a lot of personalization, and our system need to allow them to do that, a lot of customization. So if we look as an example to this ticket over here, done by GSB, then definitely Melissa would love to get that kind of greeting cards instead of just getting something which is regular off the shelf. The same, of course, over here. All of that with technology that enables that to happen. So we talked about 3 trends, and now we need to talk about the 4th one. If we used to look at PSPs, printers, and to talk about PSPs and printers that have a speciality. Their speciality could have been digital, could have been analog, could have been long run, could have been large format. Today, we're talking more and more about PSPs that need to offer their customers a little bit of everything. They need to be as flexible as possible, and they can get stuff that they are printing in-house. They can get stuff that they print outside by one of their neighbors or by one of the printers that is working with them. And they need to provide the digital enhancement solution or other solutions that they have to other printers in the region. That trend, again, is something that influenced Scodix customer and came back to us as Scodix as something that needs an answer. So if we summarize, we talk about 4 trends. We talked about the growth in the market in digital print enhancement. We talked about shorter runs, a lot more jobs to be processed per day, per week, per shift. We talked about personalization and more personalization. And the last one is the fact that our print service providers, the PSP, the printers, need to be able to provide solution not only for stuff that was printed in-house, but for anything that comes their way, it needs to be enhanced. So we understand those 4 trends, we understand the challenge, and then we came into the solution. So before we jump into the solution, I'll let you enjoy a few more minutes, or sorry, seconds, in looking in some of the samples that you can see from our customers. You can ask us about it afterwards, and we'll start looking deeply into our solution for those trends, Scodix Studio Station. And I'll hand it to Oren right there.
Hi, everyone. The Scodix Studio Station is a combination of software and hardware with a new architecture. The Scodix Studio Station has 3 major advantages. The first one is the faster read, up to 60% faster than the on-press read. The second one is the ability to process large variable data jobs, up to 1,000 sheets. And the third one is the new ARP technology. ARP stands for Automatic Registration Processes. If you know Scodix, you are probably familiar with the OPA dots that we are using. These are the dots that we are printing on the CMYK registration processes. Today, we're going to talk about the 2 new Scodix registration methods. The first one, the sheets corners. We will detect all 4 corners of the sheets for the registration process. And the second one will be the CMYK object detection. We can actually detect an object on the CMYK itself. And today, we're going to use the crop marks as our target. Let me show you a diagram of the workflow. So once the job files are ready, whether if you are using a managing information system or any other pre-press application, the CMYK files are going to be sent to the CMYK press for printing. And at the same time, the Scodix enhancement file is going to be sent to the Scodix Studio Station for further processing, where the operator is going to choose the registration method he's going to use. He's going to edit the job properties and rip the job. Once he's done, he's going to send the Scodix file to the Scodix press, ready to print. So when the CMYK files arrive at the Scodix press, no waiting. The job is already ready for printing. And with that, we are maximizing the production environment and reducing to 0 latencies. Let me show you how it looks. Now I'm going to share my screen So you can see every action I'm taking. So what you see here, this is to understand. On the top left, you can see the new job button. The new job button is what we are using to prepare and work on the job. The clear buttons that you see here, they will clear the tabs that you see on the right. We have the ripping job tab, which is basically the queue of the Scodix Studio Station. Like you see now, we don't have any jobs there. You will see the progress of the ripping process here. The CMYK object tab is used only when we are using the CMYK object registration. And the succeeded job folder, this is where we store the jobs after the rip is done. And from there, we're gonna send the job to the press. The configuration that you see here is only for Scodix service use. Let's start work on the first job. I will press the new job button. And what you see here, this is the job properties window. The first thing that I wanna do is I wanna choose the registration method that I'm going to use. For this job, I'm gonna use the Sheets Corner registration. The next action will be to load the PDF file. So let's do it. Here, we have a button to enlarge the preview so you can take a better look at the job that you are going to print. What you see here is a college graduation certificates. On each sheet, we have 4 different certificates. We're gonna print, this is a variable data job of 10 pages. We're gonna print 20 sheets. You have an option to print with barcode. For this example, we are not using the barcode, but you can choose it. The next stop will be the polymer type. Today, we're gonna use the PS500. Once we chose the polymer type, in the print mode section, you will see all the available print mode for that polymer. And today, we're gonna stay with the foil 60. In the spot color section, I will choose the Scodix. Here we are detecting the spot colors in the PDF file that we loaded. The media width and height are taken automatically from the PDF itself. And we have a rotate option in case that the positioning of the sheet is landscape. With the Scodix, we always print portrait. The next thing that I will need to choose, if I'm using this, foil or casting cure. Today, we will show you the foil enhancement. After I'm pressing generate, I have an option to choose the job name. The first name that you see here is the PDF name, but let's change it. Let's call it Webinar Corners. Once I'm pressing the Save button here, the reprocess will start. If you remember, Amit mentioned the trend for one-stop shop. PSPs are offering full services more and more to their customers. This means that if a PSP shop does not have an enhancement press, they are outsourcing it and delivering the CMYK sheets. We see more and more Scodix owner becoming a hub for digital enhancement job. When the Scodix owner gets the job, they have less control over the CMYK job. But now, with the Scodix new registration, the corners, and the CMYK object, they can print on most CMYK substrate. This gives a much better flexibility in the production floor. Once the reprocess is done, you will see that the job will move automatically to the succeeded folder, like you see here. And from that point, it is ready to be sent to the press. We also have an edit button here that will open the job properties again in case you want to edit a job. Let's say change a print mode, for example. So let's send it to the press. And now let's work on the second job. I will press the new job button again. And for this job, I'm going to use the CMYK object registration. So I'm going to choose CMYK objects. And now here, you can see that we have an opening now for another PDF file, because we are going to load the Scodix PDF file. And right after, we will load the CMYK file. Because if you remember, we are using the CMYK as our registration process. So we're going to need the file to target our objects. Now, once it's loaded, I will choose the polymer type, which we're going to stay with PS500. Foil 60 as our print mode. And I'm going to choose the Scodix spot color in the PDF. Let's print 20 sheets today. Again, media width and height are taken automatically from the PDF that was loaded. And here you can see an example that this job is landscape. So I'm going to rotate it to match how the sheets are placed in the press feeder. Here I can see the large preview. This job is a greeting card job. You can see that we have 8 different cards. We're going to stay with the foil. And I'm going to press generate now. And let's call this one webinar CMYK. Now you can see that the reprocess starts. In a production environment, while the press operator is editing a job, ripping a job, in the Scodix Studio Station, the press can continue printing in parallel. And let's take, for example, this job that we are working on now. This is a greeting card job that has 8 different cards on each sheet. Think about having it in a 1,000-sheet job. It means that in less than an hour, you can print 8,000 cards. In a shift, you can print over 64,000 personalized and foiled greeting cards. And once the reprocess is done, because we are using the CMYK object registration, in the CMYK object tab, we have the job here. The next stage will be to detect the CMYK targets. So I'm going to choose Edit Objects. And now you can see the field of view of the cameras. So let's start working on the first camera. I will enlarge the field of view. And the area that you see here, this is the area where you can choose your object. It doesn't have to be in the edge of the sheet. It can be all over this area. Today, we will choose the crop marks. So I'm going to zoom in on the crop marks here. I'm going to choose the target. And I'm going to press OK. And once the target is accepted, you can see that we have the green border here, indicating that it's a good target. Now let's work on the second one. Zooming out to have a better indication on all camera field of view and my options. I'm going to zoom in on the crop marks, choose it, press OK, and we have the green border here again. Let's do the same for the third camera. Zooming in on the crop marks here, choosing the area, press OK. And let's finish with the fourth camera. Zooming in on the crop marks area, choosing the target, and press OK. Now on the bottom left, you can see the green V marks, indicating that for each camera, we have a valid target. If I will press the Show Raster button, you get a better view in a large view of the areas that you chose, your target. I showed you now how to do it manually because I wanted you to understand the process better. But also here, you have a button for Auto CMYK, and this will find the targets for you. After I'm done, I will press Save CMYK, and the job is in the succeeded folder, ready to be sent to the press. So now let's send it to the press. Now we'll minimize the station software. And here we can see the press software. We can see that both jobs are here waiting for us for printing. Both CMYK sheets for both jobs are already placed and ready in the press feeder. So let's start printing. We will start with the first job that we edit, which is the corners. Now the press is doing the preparation for a few seconds for the printing process. And you can see here now that the sheets corner are targeted. And now I'm going to stop my sharing so you can see the printing process. As you can see now, the first stop of the sheet is under the cameras for the registration process. Right after the sheet is going under the print head, it's getting the curing from our LED lamp. The next station after it is the curing system. And right before the stacker, we have the foiler unit where the sheet is getting the foil stamp. Let's go to the stacker to see the result. So what you can see here, I took two following sheets, and you can see the different naming. The beautiful foil stamp on each one, and each certificate is customized and specialized for each of the students. Think about having this job again in 100 copies. Think about how fast you can print personalized certificates to a lot of students. And just for a reminder, for this job, we used the corner registration. And you can see that the registration is perfect. Now, we have Ronen back there, assisting us to send the next job to the press, to printing. Let's go there to see it. As you can see here, we targeted the crop mark. Let's send it to print. First off, on the table, under the cameras for the registration process, we are detecting the crop marks on each sheet for maximizing the registration process. Then the sheet is moving again under the print head. And right after the print head, we see the LED lamp just for the first viewing. The next station is the curing system. Here we are getting the foil stamp. Let's take a look at the results. This is the greeting card job. You can see 8 different cards Each of them is customized. And you can see the perfect registration. And to remind you, with this job, we use the CMYK object registration, where it was based on the crop marks. Think about having this job, let's say invitation, and each one of them is a special invitation personalized to each of the attendees of the event, and you can print hundreds and thousands of them in less than 1 hour. With that, we finished the Scodix Studio Station demo. I thank you all for joining us, but don't leave us yet, because now we will open the chat for questioning. Okay. So, the first question. What is the largest file you can do? So I can tell you that we have tested many, many jobs, including heavy variable data jobs, up to 1,000 sheets. Let's see I see that a lot of questions coming in now. I hope I can answer all. The second one is, how fast is the rip process? Okay, so like today with the on-press rip, it's heavily dependent on the design and the complexity of the PDF. I can tell you that in average, like I mentioned before, it's up to 60% faster than the on-press rip. And the one thing that you need to remember again, that everything happens in parallel. So if the operator is editing and ripping a job on the Scodix Studio Station, the press simultaneously can continue printing. And about the rip time, I can give you a good example from our beta site in the US, Consolidate Printing. The result that we saw there with the ripping process was much better than our average testing here in Scodix. Most of their jobs are about 250 and 300 sheets of variable data. I can tell you that before the Scodix Studio Station, with the on-press rip, it took them over 90 minutes to rip one job. With the Scodix Studio Station, it takes them about 10 minutes. So it completely changed the production environment and of course opened many new possibilities for them. Let's see the next question. Is the Studio Station just a software? So no, it's a software and hardware. We have a dedicated hardware for the Scodix Studio Station application. Oh, here we have we have here a question that is related to this question, so I will go with this one. What does the Studio package include? So like I mentioned, we have a dedicated hardware. We have the Scodix Studio application, and it's including, of course, the installation and a training session from one of our CSCs. For the CMYK registration, you use the crop marks, right? Can I use an image on the sheet? Yes. I chose to use today the crop marks, but you can choose any CMYK object that you want. It just needs to be in the field of views of the camera. How accurate is the Scodix Studio registration? Okay, so I can tell you that for all registration, whether if you are using OPA registration, corner registration, or CMYK registration, our accuracy is up to 100 micron. Let's take the last question. I see that question a lot here. So how much does the Studio Station cost? I'm not going to go into numbers here, but you are welcome in each region to contact our sales representative. They will be happy to answer that question. And also you can feel free to contact us on scodix.com with any question that you have. And we'll finish with that. We see that we ran out of our time. I want to thank you, and I hope we will meet again soon, and I hope you will enjoy our product very soon. Goodbye.